Our theme this month is mindfulness for Mavericks. So today's title is Just Breathe. What a perfect title for what we're walking through right now, isn't it? Just breathe. I'd like to first start off by thanking Kim Bibo for sitting in for me last week so I could be off and have a little time away. But I'm back. And I'd just like to start by saying that God is colorless because God is all colors. God is no gender, for God is all genders. God has no political party, for God is all political parties. There's only one of us here, truly. So I'd like to share a letter that I received from the Centers for Spiritual Living leadership team. This is dated June 1st, 2020, entitled A Post-Pandemic Spiritual Community. We are confident that when communities plan to reopen, they can do so safely in a way that considers our most vulnerable and in alignment with local government orders. And there are some things we can be certain of right now. Centers for Spiritual Living is not housed in buildings and never has been. It lives in the hearts of the community, wherever they're located. And it always will be wherever we gather and whatever the method we use to gather. We are Centers for Spiritual Living, and it lives in us for as long as we freely identify ourselves as practicing metaphysicians. We are made by the divine, not with a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-discipline. Our teaching urges us to be still and to consult with that spirit of power, love, and self-discipline. Our values of love and compassion guide us to apply our creative minds to the good of all and to envision the best possible outcome for all. Throughout this process, Centers for Spiritual Living will continue to always, as always, be a dynamic, healthy, and inspiring online and in your heart, while each community monitors and reassesses their own situation. Someone asked what our focus will be while we are sheltering in place in grace. And it will continue to be what it always has been, to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation through the teaching and practice of the science of mind. Communities are creatively expanding that focus to include strengthening community online, staying connected online, learning and studying online, discussing, grieving, sharing, and celebrating all online. And if we grow weary of online activity, we will sit in contemplation to regenerate by dipping into that deep well of the divine until we are ready to commune again. It is our way. We will not be hypnotized by chaotic conditions. For communities who have a brick and mortar center, it is what goes on inside the building that is important to many of us. We miss the people, the energy, and the atmosphere in the places we love so much. We are immensely grateful for this technology that has allowed communities to respond with virtual services, classes, and activities, and dozens of individual and teams who are doing amazing work, keeping our communities connected on all our spiritual paths with love and support. We have confidence in the future of Center for Spiritual Living based on one single fact: you. and more precisely, the mind of God within you. We urge you to envision a future that expands and grows us beyond our current conditions. Our blessings to you, your CSL executive team. And this is the quote by Ernest Holmes that was attached at the bottom of that letter. It is a popular belief that those who practice this science are a class of people who declare that everything is perfect when, as a matter of fact, everything in the objective experience of the race is not perfect and indeed is far from being perfect. This popular idea of the practice of spiritual science is entirely a misconception. A religious scientist is not one who shares themselves that wrong is right, or that evil is good, that limitation is freedom, that bondage is liberty, or that sickness is health. They do not claim that our objective experience is an illusion, but they do make this claim that behind the phenomena of human and material experience, behind the slow and persistent process of evolution, there is, as Emerson stated, one mind common to all people. They claim that this mind is perfect and that they have access to this mind. Dr. Ernest Holmes. And now for my talk entitled, Just Breathe. So let's take a breath. Breathing is life. It is life sustaining itself with the ebb and the flow of each inhalation and exhalation. Breathing is also a method or technique that helps us to process, to shift, and to evolve. We have the ability to slow our breathing down or slow our experience of life down in the process of slowing our breathing. We are told to breathe and count to 10 when we're angry. It's funny, my parents only counted to 3, but that's another story. The vocalist prepares a breath in a particular way to give rise and fall to a song. The pregnant mother is taught to breathe in a manner that aids in the process of childbirthing. The meditator is invited to connect to their breath as a way of centering. Breathing and the concept of the breath are equally important for life and the idea of living life fully. If we breathe in a shallow manner, we are cheating the body of its nutrients. A full breath restores those nutrients. So many times, the first answer in the midst of a trauma is to just breathe. Just breathe. But we must be able to breathe to sustain life. If someone cuts off our breathing to our windpipe, life stops as a result. So I propose this question that where have we possibly been restricting Mother Nature's breath of life? Where have we put Mother Nature second in our world so that we may be more comfortable? I was just thinking of the metaphysical interpretation of this virus, and is it possible that this virus is her way of forcing us to let her breathe more deeply again? It's just an idea. Science of Mind, page 243, it's written, "It is written that the breath of God animates creation with the living presence of a pure divinity." What breath are we breathing other than this true breath, unrestricted, flowing through channels of pure receptivity from the infinite intelligence and the perfect life of God. Let your thought dwell not on breath, nor lack of breath, but on that which breathes you, since the freedom of this God life flowing in and through you. Dr. Ernest Holmes writes in the Holmes Papers on Ideas of Power, page 330, the universe is self-existent, and God comes new and fresh in the perennial springtime of every moment, bursts forth from the timeless infinite into the present incident, carrying with the wonder, the majesty, and the might, and the warmth and the color of the eternal self. Such is the nature of our being. Every day is a new beginning. Every day is the world made anew. Thich Nhat Hanh says in Stepping into Freedom, feelings come and go like clouds in the wind. Conscious breathing is my anchor. So breathing is a sign of life. And it's so much that we sometimes take it for granted when we breathe. I know that when we're sleeping, we're not forcing ourselves to breathe. Just like you wouldn't have to think about beating your heart. When's the last time you had to think about beating your heart or breathing your body or digesting your food? It's one of those things that just happens. But labored breathing is a sign of being out of balance. By the way of our respiration, breathing, we have an amazing tool of detection that can be a signpost to our state of mind and state of being. It is one of the easiest ways we can check in on where we are emotionally. Just breathe. Monitor your breathing and slow it down. Suppose you're sitting in a traffic jam and you're late to a meeting and your breathing may become more rapid in an attempt to quickly distribute oxygen-rich blood to your body as a result of the stress that you feel sitting in this parking lot on your way to your appointment. When you are mindfully aware of how you're breathing at any given moment, we can immediately check in on such things as tensions, anxieties, fears, worries, stress, or trauma. And like any early warning detection system, the goal, once received, can be changed by the warning system of slowing your breathing down, taking just a few moments to know that you're exactly where you need to be at all times. There may be reasons that you need to be late, and to be okay with those reasons. So breathing is a tool and a technique for change. Many practices involve some sort of breath work. Like I was saying, women are taught to breathe a specific way to facilitate childbirth. Martial artists are taught to breathe to increase power. Vocalists are taught to breathe in a particular way to facilitate singing, rising and falling. Furniture movers and weight lifters breathe a certain way to increase their strength. And we all know basically how this happens. But because it is kind of like common sense, we may not take the time to notice how we're breathing on any given day when not engaged in any particular activity that requires modified breathing. Yet, we are in fact engaged in a particular activity that's called living. If you find that your life is moving too fast in a particular direction, Stop. Slow your breathing down. Monitor how you're breathing. Count to 10, or at least to 3, as my parents would. We have options to how we can modify our breathing. Some of them include meditation, a mindfulness practice, and the classic count to 10. But what of such things as laughter, humming, and chanting as ways to increase the flow of blood and air to optimize that breath? Because when we change how we breathe, we change So in conclusion, today, let's start breathing intentionally. As a spiritual practice, this can become your meditation. But you don't have to just do it when you're meditating. When you're just sitting there watching TV, monitor your breath, slow it down. Make it a new default and a state of engaging with life all the time. Let's remove the pressure from our chests of Mother Nature so that she can breathe again. Let us begin to learn how to love one another again. This is the time. Let us learn how to engage in the law of circulation, the law of reciprocal energy, grounding, aligning, and being within the flow. How many people do you know have regrets about how they were breathing last week or last year? How many worry about how they will breathe tomorrow or try to save a breath for a rainy day? If you felt like something is restricting your ability to breathe, it's time to take a moment and remove whatever is on you so that you can breathe more deeply. And if you feel that you are a weight on someone else's experience, maybe it's time to take that step back and breathe. Metaphysically, where have we been leaning on Mother Nature? Or maybe where have we been leaned on previously in life? That we can forgive those. Again, maybe this virus is Mother Nature's way of forcing us to look at how we are choking off her windpipe. Just a thought. You see, just breathing can engage us in the consciousness and the practice of being aware and in the present now moment. So just breathe consciously. And so it is. Namaste. So it's time for our prayer together. So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or look out your window if you have a window available, or just fall into your gentle breathing. So I remind myself, and I invite you to remind yourself of what you believe the power of the infinite Creator is to you. You can call it Jesus the Christ, Great Spirit, Source Energy. That's your business. But I think we can agree that something is breathing us. Something is beating our heart, and something is guiding us. And as we allow the infinite Creator of all things to be the guide in our life, as we turn our attention to what created us, not to deny any challenges, but to not to give them any more power, we turn within. I speak a word of prayer for breath. For all of us to take that extra count of 10 or 3 is a good start. And breathe more deeply. I know that whatever your prayer is, as we turn it over to that power of creation, stopping ourselves from trying to figure it all out, we give the infinite that breath, that space, to filter into our consciousness what is our next greatest yet to be, to do, to be, and to have. So as we look upon our situations in life, as we hold these ideas up to the mind of the infinite, we may not know how to progress or proceed, but we have to know that the infinite does know. And as we give it that space, answers are given to us, connections are made, and life returns to peace and calm, and possibly a new level of peace and calm. So we are grateful for this energy, for this breath, for this time. How good it is to know that that wonderful creative genius is in the midst of every situation. So I give great thanks. I am so grateful. My heart overflows with the infinite wisdom of the universe and love of all things. And we let go. We release this word directly into the living, loving law of our breath, where it knows exactly what to do, how to do it, and does it in its perfect time and space. As we release this with love and thanksgiving, we affirm it together by saying, and so it is. Namaste.